This video introduces the basic operation and usage methods of the Matribox II Pro multi-effects processor. Unlike the previous models, Matribox and Matribox II, the new generation Matribox II Pro is equipped with a high-resolution touchscreen, making operations more versatile and parameter adjustments more convenient. The use of the touchscreen will be presented to you in the following introduction. The firmware version of this demonstration is 1.0.1. Let's get started and jump to the front side of the unit where we're going to check out some of the ins and outs that we have. On the right side, we have our power input, which is DC, direct current, 9-volt, center tip negative polarity. And whatever power supply you use, it needs to be able to provide at least 1000 milliamps or 1 meg of current here. Standard size barrel connection. So all that to say that you can use this pedal with basically any off-the-shelf power supply that you find at a music store. If you perhaps lose the one that this comes with, you can find these requirements. Very common type of power connection for any guitar pedal. Just double check it's DC, 9-volt, center tip negative. The power supply should have all of this listed directly on it. Then we have a simple on-off switch. Then we have the USB connection. You can connect to a computer with the Sonicake Matribox II Pro and use it as an audio interface where you would record to a DAW and you could either monitor it back through a separate audio interface or actually using the headphone output here or any of the other outputs, which we'll get to in a second. The USB slot is also used to connect to a computer where you can download the free software and edit your presets on the computer. In addition to editing with all the built-in knobs or on the touchscreen, you can also edit with a software program, which you can find on the Sonicake website. Moving on to the MIDI input and output, this is a 3.5 TRS, basically a headphone-sized jack that you can connect to MIDI devices with this, or maybe you get a cable that converts it to kind of that more bulky but more standard MIDI 7-pin connection. Here we have our headphone output, an auxiliary input, same size, 3.5 millimeter TRS connection. This could be used for playing backing tracks, for example. Moving on to the output section, we first have the 1/4-inch unbalanced outputs to connect to another guitar pedal or maybe directly to an amp if you want. Use the left side if you're playing in mono, or plug in both sides. The unit will automatically detect this and output stereo information. To connect directly to an audio interface or a powered speaker, a monitor, something like an acoustic amp that has an XLR input, or to go direct into a front-of-house console at a gig, we have the XLR outputs and also a ground lift switch, which is very needed. Continuing on, we have the effects loop send and return, which you can take the effects loop module in each preset and move it around in the signal path. Say you have an external reverb pedal or a delay or something, and you want that after your amp simulation, or maybe even before the amp simulation. This is how you would connect that. Send from the preset, wherever you decide to put the effects loop send, head to your external pedal with the 1/4-inch connection, return back to the Sonicake Matribox II Pro, and it'll continue through the preset before finally ending up at one of your outputs here. We have our standard 1/4-inch unbalanced input here to be used with any instrument, including passive acoustic pickups. The input impedance rating is up to 1 meg, which is fantastic even for the most high impedance acoustic guitars. And then finally on the left side here, last port, we have the optional Expression 2 input or the ability to add an extra foot switch here. Moving on to the top of the unit, let's start here with the color touchscreen. This is used to display preset and other operational information, but everything that you see on the screen can be manipulated by touch here. You can use the knobs for more fine controls if you want. Every screen that you enter, most of them anyway, are going to have some parameters down here that you can use the knobs to adjust if you'd rather do that. A little bit more fine control, but the main thing here is that this is just super easy to use with the touchscreen. We can see how this gain parameter is red. That matches up with our overdrive block. Maybe I want to bypass the overdrive. You can tap that there, turn on the wah effect, or bypass the EQ maybe. If I want to increase the gain, like you saw earlier, of course I can use the knob down here, or I can simply use the touchscreen to increase the drive parameter. Okay, most important switch on this unit is going to be your exit button. This is going to bring you back to the default screen view here. Nothing worse than when you're learning a new unit and you get lost in some sub menu and you can't figure out how to get back. No matter where you go, let's enter the looper menu. All you need to do to get back to the main screen, hit the exit button. Let's enter the effects view. I've pressed the effects button, and we can use the main menu knob here to scroll through the effects. Let's enter the reverb window. Press in on the menu button to enter the edit screen for each of the effects. On the Matribox II Pro, everything is color-coded, by the way, so all your reverbs are going to be light blue. Your delay, different color, purple. EQs are green, overdrives are red. But as you're seeing, you can also do this with the touchscreen, so whichever is easier for you. And then we can access all of the parameters here just by scrolling left and right on the touchscreen. Exit. Let's go back to the main menu. Maybe I changed some settings in the reverb here. Let's hit save. You can also change your naming structure of the preset there. To engage the drum machine, we also have its own switch here. By the way, at the top of the screen, we're looking at our output level on the left. To begin the drum machine, you can just turn it on and off simply here with the switch. On the top left of the screen, we can see our output meter that the drum machine is working right now. Press the button again to stop. On the top right of the screen, this is our input metering. And you can see that tapping on the cable that I've plugged into the Matribox II Pro. You can see it reflecting there on the input meter. Finally, you can use the global button here to enter the global settings menu where you can make some adjustments to have the unit suit you best as a musician, how you like to play, how you like to edit. Above the dedicated global settings button, we have our master volume, which is an analog control here, just affecting the overall output of the unit. It's nice that we have this that we can get to quickly. We don't have to enter a menu, right? You can see that it's not affecting the preset volume, which is preset specific. This is separate from anything that's happening digitally in the unit. This is just an overall master volume all the way at the end of everything, at the end of the drum machine, at the end of the preset. This is affecting your overall output of the unit here. Jump up here to our control button. This is where you can get into editing what the expression pedal is controlling for each preset, what all of the foot switches down here are doing. And then lastly, we have the expression button, which is just an easy way here to switch between volume control. I'm going to press it again now, and the volume is going to be bypassed. The wah is turned on, and this will now operate as a wah pedal. Of course, you could assign that to a foot switch if you wanted to. Let's talk about the foot switches. We're going to start here with the bank up and down. You should know that there's two basic modes of operation here with the Matribox II Pro. We can either use it in foot switch mode or in preset mode. So right now you're looking at foot switch mode, and to switch to preset mode, you would just press these two at the same time. So in foot switch mode, we are using the bottom row of switches here to basically turn on various effects, and they're all color-coded. You can see with foot switch A that pressing this button is engaging and bypassing the second dynamics block that we have. Foot switch B is assigned to the overdrive block there. Foot switch C is controlling the modulation. You can also see that this color lights up down here blue because it's controlling the modulation. Foot switch D is flashing because this is currently our tap tempo switch, although you can make all of these changes by entering the control window, like I mentioned earlier. To switch into preset mode, as I said, press both buttons at the same time, and now we can use the foot switches to change presets. Think about a preset as being an entire amp and pedal rig. The great thing about using digital modelers is that you can change your sound very quickly. On foot switch A, I might have a very warm, completely clean tone that would be good for a jazz sound, and with the simple press of a switch, I can switch to a very much overdriven amp sound that would fit in a heavy metal band mix or something like that. Now, a single press of each switch, let's enter back into foot switch mode. A single press of the switch is going to pull up the preset bank screen. So it's here that we can navigate through the entire array of presets that we have access to. There are 60 banks in the Matribox II Pro, which is more presets than you'll probably ever need. And you can just use the bank mode here to switch between them. Let's switch to the Lazy Blues preset, which is C. I'm going to press C. We're now in a new preset. Instead of manually scrolling through, this would have taken us about 40 foot switch presses. You can do it simply by pressing the bank button and scroll through 4 different presets at a time. Select your new one, Super Clean 2A, and here we're on a new preset. I should also note that these switches are physically raised higher than your bottom row of foot switches, so it's not going to be easy to accidentally bump one of these when you're using the bank switches. You can also switch between preset and stomp mode using this button on the touchscreen. Press foot switches A and B together to enter the tuner, where you can change the output here. You can either have the tuner mode mute your output, or you can have it bypass the unit, so it's outputting your dry signal. Or there's no effect on your signal. The unit is still processing all of your effects while you're in the tuner view. And of course here you can change your pitch center. Press any button to exit the tuner view. Press foot switches C and D together to enter the looper mode. Foot switch A to begin recording of the loop. Foot switch B to stop the loop and begin playback. Foot switch A again to overdub over top of that loop. Stop recording. Now I have 2 layers of the loop running. I can use B to stop the recording. And of course you can use the touchscreen for all of this too. You can clear your looper right there. Press foot switches C and D together to exit the looper menu. Thanks for watching the basic introduction to the Matribox II Pro multi-effects processor. Be sure to check out the official Sonicake channel for more info on programming presets, the global settings menu, and more in-depth topics on the Matribox II Pro.